This is question 13 of section 2, the first logical reasoning section of prep test 158 over at lawhub.lsac.org. And we're going to have our highlighting tool selected so that we can highlight whatever the task is here at the start. So beginning, we read, which one of the following most accurately expresses the main conclusion drawn in the argument? So whenever you are presented with a question task asking you to identify a main conclusion, you have to be careful because there has to be some sort of cleverness applied. So you can't just go with like whatever follows a therefore. You're going to want to break down the statements and consider the direction of support and whether or not the statements are facts or opinions. So we're going to read the prompt from the top with our highlighting tool still selected. It reads, the widespread use of encryption software, which makes electronic documents accessible by password only, will bring the writing of biographical history virtually to an end. Well, that seems a little bit excessive, so this may actually be our conclusion. So we'll hold that for now. Public figures' private correspondence and diaries are intended to be confidential when written, but they later become biographers' principal sources. Well, this seems more like a fact than the first sentence, so this seems less likely to be our conclusion. Continuing on, in the future, most such documents are likely to be stored as encrypted text, so the most interesting revealing material will be unavailable to historians unless they have the necessary passwords. While this is a hypothetical, it's a hypothetical fact as presented in the argument, and I would argue that actually this is a relatively straightforward situation for a main conclusion question task where the opening sentence is the main conclusion because all of the information following it is in support of that conclusion. So we just have to go find an answer choice that directly matches this text, if not exactly verbatim, pretty much as a close paraphrase. So starting with choice A, in the future, most private correspondence and diaries of public figures will be stored as encrypted text. We know that was just presented as a fact. I don't really actually need to highlight much here because we know it just doesn't match our original highlight. So again, main conclusion task can actually go a little bit more quickly if you do a good job up front. Next, choice B, the widespread use of encryption software will cause the writing of biographical history to decline significantly or cease. Well, yeah, that's exactly it. And we can see where the paraphrase was. It's just saying decline significantly or cease, as opposed to saying virtually to an end. But it's absolutely our main conclusion. On the exam, you very well may move on at this point because you're certain that it's correct, but we'll go through the remaining answer choices just for the purposes of this video. So then, choice C, historians will probably not have access to much of the private correspondence and diaries of public futures in the future. Well, this is an implicit assumption, but it's not the explicitly stated conclusion. So we can eliminate choice C as the wrong part of the argument. Then choice D, in the future, biographers' access to the most interesting, revealing material will be determined by their knowledge of the necessary passwords. Well, again, this is just a hypothetical fact that is presented in support of that conclusion that we highlighted in pink at the outset. And then choice E, public figures' private correspondence and diaries are the most interesting and revealing sources for the writing of biographical history. Again, this is just a statement of fact that is presented at the end of the paragraph in support of the first sentence. And of course, our correct answer is B. And you can see this is actually one of the rare occasions where there's the least amount of highlighting necessary in the answer choices because we know we just have to match what we highlighted effectively as the conclusion at the outset in the prompt.